Welcome to Meeting After Kids. Today I want to dive into something really important for us over 50 who love the outdoors. We're going to be talking about the essential items you're going to need in your backpack when you're heading out on the trail. Whether you're a seasoned hiker or just getting started, having the right gear can make a very huge difference in not only your safety and your comfort, but your overall experience. So let's make sure you're prepared for everything. First up, I want to say the items I'm going to be talking about today are for like half-day hikes. I ain't talking about the all day long be gone and overnight backpacking trips or anything like that. I'm talking about those hikes where you can start off right after breakfast and be back by lunch. And some of the trails that are more used than going off the beaten path, you might say. And those ones that are ranging anywhere from about 1 to 10 miles. Nothing extreme. And I want to cover the items needed for those other hikes in another video. But right now, let's just talk about these. I want to start off with what I personally feel is the most important, and that's your backpack itself. The reason I feel that's kind of the key item right here is because number one, it's going to hold everything in there. It's going to keep you safe. It's going to keep you alive, and it's going to get you back home safe. I know that might sound a little bit dramatic for these little half-day hikes that we're talking about, but I guarantee you these backpacks will be your best friend. But the question is, with thousands of different options that you have out there, which one's right for you? Well, I can tell you right now, this big overnight backpack right here is not for you. There's another pretty good size one right here that I use this one for when I'm going to be gone all day long. That's not what we're talking about today either. The ones I'm going to be talking about are these little 20 to 30 liter backpacks. It's not going to be too heavy for you to go on that real nice pretty hike that you've been wanting to go on for a while. I use this in primary. This is my hunting bag. It's a little bit too small for my little hikes that I want to go do. So instead, this ain't for us either. That leaves us with these two real lightweight backpacks that we take almost on every single hike that we go on, as long as it's a half day. These little packs right here will give you the space that you need for all your essentials, you might say, and it won't overload your back and overload your knees whatsoever. I love these. The one thing that I do recommend is when you get fitted for a backpack that you actually go to the store and you try it on yourself. The worst thing you can do is buy one online, put it on, and it just doesn't fit right. You don't feel comfortable in it, and then you got to buy another one or send that one back. So I always like to try mine on, but then you also have to be warned that you're trying it on without any weight in it. Your best option is just put a bunch of stuff in it, put it on, load it up and really feel how it's going to feel sitting in the middle of your back. Problem with that is the store may think you're trying to do some shoplifting or something. So be careful with all that, but being fitted with a backpack is very, very important for your comfort, and so it doesn't rub any blisters in the wrong spots, and the easy on and off and all that good stuff. And you may end up having to go through 2 or 3 before you find the right one. There's plenty of videos out there on YouTube to show you how to fit a backpack. This is not what this is about. So I want to go ahead and dive into actually what's in these things. So now that we have a good fitting backpack that you're going to enjoy, let's talk about one of the most key things to have in your pack, and that is a little safety kit. Now this doesn't have to be extravagant, those big boxes that you have to haul around that's heavy. You don't need anything like that unless you're going to be going a little bit further than what we're talking about today. But these little waterproof first aid kits, they house everything in here that you're really going to need. They have all the way from your antiseptics to your bandages, and I'm not going to pull all this stuff out because it's just really hard to get back in. But it comes with some tape, some small tourniquets. Man, that's everything hopefully you're going to not have to need out on the trail, as long as you have something, because as we get older, and getting old does suck, our skin gets a little bit thinner, we tend to bleed a little bit more, so we're going to have a few more bandages than what we actually would if we were in our 20s. It's just a little scrape of the tree or nick of the rock or something like that, you know, we may bleed like a stuck pig for 2 hours. So we really need something that we can clean that off with and put some bandages on. But along with that, that's these moleskins. I never leave home without them. I mean, you talk about a great way to help those blisters. Because you know, a blister on your foot will never happen in the parking lot. It's always about mile 2 or 3 when you get out to where you can't get back so quick. And these right here will help take care of it. You know, normal Band-Aids, when you put them on your heel or something, they start rubbing off, and these right here will stay with you the whole time. But not just the safety, let's talk about protection. No, wait a minute, I ain't talking about that kind of protection. I'm talking about self-protection. So I always carry like a survival blanket, one of these little compact things that just are very lightweight. Either that or a poncho or like a little tube tent or something like that, you know, because I mean, you might think it's only a half-day trip and we're on an established trail. Well, I can tell you right now, I've been in a situation where I almost had to use these. So, and I'll tell you about that here in just a few minutes, but these right here are great. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't. And along with that blanket, I always carry just a couple little hand warmers. Now, the places that we're talking about, we're not talking about so far off the beaten path where it's going to take hours and hours for emergency vehicles to get to you just in case. But you want to be as comfortable as you possibly can while you're waiting if a situation comes up, which I hope it never does. But adding to your personal protection, I know this is a big bottle, but I carry it in a Ziploc bag. This is sunscreen, and they have the wipes, they have the little small packages if you don't want to carry around a big bottle, but I've got room for it, so that's what I do, because I apply this 2 or 3 times, especially in the summertime. Up here in Colorado in these high altitude, the sun seems to want to burn you a whole lot quicker than it does when you're down in the southern states, so, and lower altitudes. So I always carry some type of sunscreen with me for personal protection. And while we're on that topic, this is a little bit more advanced, but I do it. Me and her always carry a personal locator, a GPS tracking system. She carries this Spot Gen 3. I carry the Garmin InReach. It has texting apps and all that. But I believe as long as you have the SOS button right here that you can hit in case of emergency, that's really all you're going to need for these little half-day hikes. Now, these do require some type of activation and some type of service, but for as little as it is a month, and it could save your life, it's well worth it, I can tell you that. And more especially if you're planning on doing some longer hikes and overnights out in the bush. Next, I want to cover hydration, water. Her likes to have these refillable water bottles that we just put on the side of the backpack right here. I'm kind of old-fashioned, I just choose regular water bottles. But in the end, we always carry some of these thirst quenchers. They're full of electrolytes, and they can really get you back in the game if you're feeling down and out. Quick little picker-upper, you might say. I carry a minimum of 2 water bottles with me everywhere I go. But if I know that I'm going to be a little bit further out, if I'm going to go a few more extra miles, I always carry a couple of more. You know, it's said that you can live 30 days without food, 3 days without water, and 3 minutes without air. Well, I really don't want to go without any one of those 3, so I always try to carry as much water as I possibly can. And most of the time, I usually end up having to reserve that last bottle because high altitude, old, out of shape, I suck that water down pretty good. In a few months, we're planning on doing Guadalupe Peak down in Texas. It's the highest point down there, and it's an 8-mile round trip, but it's a real huge gain, you know, to get there and back. And I'm trying to calculate how much water I'm going to actually have to take, and they're requesting to take 2 liters of water, but I may end up taking 3 or maybe splitting it up in some other packs or something like that. But that's a situation where when you're on top of the mountain and you don't want to get into a bad deal, so you just got to take enough water with you, especially down there in the Chihuahuan Desert. It's hot. Even though water is the key, you still have to have some type of replenishing your energy. And I always bring snacks with me. You know, a lot of people, they'll bring little protein bars and things like that. I just go to Sam's and I pick up their big trail mix, and then I'll break it up into smaller little bags, and I'll throw these in my pack. If it's only going to be about a 4 mile, I only take one, but if it's going to be around 6 to 8, I usually take 2, because this needs a lot of energy to move. And as long as you have some chocolates, some nuts, and some dried fruits in there, it's going to give you the energy you need to get back to your car. Next, I want to talk about comfort. I mean, we all want to be comfortable, especially when we're out on the trail. I understand it's not as comfortable as sitting on the couch, but we still want to be comfortable and enjoy the great outdoors. And one of the things I always carry with me is these insect repellent wipes. I mean, nothing can really ruin a good hike except for a bunch of mosquitoes attacking you and bug bites and things like that. So I always carry these little packs with me, and if the bugs are out, I'll wipe myself down with them. That helps a lot with the comfort. And unfortunately, being older means that your joints and your muscles and your bones are getting older. So just packing a few more little comfort items is really going to help you out in the long run. Me and her always carry knee supports. We have the compression type, and we have the ones that we can put on a little bit tighter. And then we always keep one of those real big, nice braces in the truck. In case we do get really injured and we can make it back to the vehicle, then we can actually put that on for our comfort for the ride back. But being a bigger guy, you know, I've had knee problems my whole life, and these are so essential. I keep those with me everywhere I go. I think we've got like maybe 8 or 10 of these, and we keep them in every pack that we have and every vehicle. We were hiking down in the Wichita Mountains in southern Oklahoma one time, and it was an 8-mile hike, and I got 4 miles in, and we sat down, we had lunch. It was a great, great place, great scenery, beautiful area. And then when I stood back up, I twisted my right knee, and I did not have a brace with me whatsoever. So it ended up being a very hard, painful, treacherous trek all the way back to the vehicle. So you talk about comfort, I wasn't in any kind of comfort. But if it wasn't for the trekking poles that I had and I was able to use them as a cane, I don't know if I'd have got back or not. You've seen her, if you've watched any of these videos, she's pretty small. There's no way that she can help me get out. And speaking of trekking poles, you know, back when we were younger, I was as sure-footed as a mountain goat. But now as I'm getting older, kind of getting a little bit off balanced here and there, and especially with these bad knees, I really got to have some trekking poles. Now she uses these doubles, adjustable, and I really like them because you can decide what you want to put on the ends for snow, for rock, or for just normal dirt. I usually just use a single, and what I like about these is when your knee does finally go out, you can adjust them down to where they can just be a cane. And that's what got me out of Oklahoma. I was able to use this as a walking cane, put all my weight down, get all the weight off my right knee, and it worked out great. These are lifesavers, especially when you're up on rocky terrain and trying to traverse down a hill. You can put this out first to get your balance and then move on. Or you can just have just the regular walking stick. My dad made this one for me. I mean, it's a beautiful walking stick. I don't know if I ever want to use it. I may just want to hang it on the wall and keep it there. But anything to help you with your balance to keep you from falling or maybe sliding off the side of a hill, these are what will do it. Unless you're just in the dead middle of summer and there is no chance for rain and you're in a drought, one thing that I always carry is a lightweight windbreaker / rain jacket. These little things like frog togs and stuff, you can fold up real small and they'll fit in your pack and not hard to take up any room. That's usually packed all the way down in the bottom of my pack, and if I know there's going to be rain, I'll pack it higher or I'll leave it on. And it also doubles as an extra layer in case that unexpected cold front hits you while you're up in the mountain and or out on the trail, and you just kind of wasn't expecting that. You get a little bit chilled. That's the last thing you want to get done. So you just want to be able to have something to put on just as an extra barrier for that wind and that little bit of rain. But along with that, I always carry these little extra pair of socks. Because if your feet get wet, you're pretty much screwed. And they will get wet. You have river crossings, you have anything like that. So I always carry an extra little pair of socks with me, and I always carry cotton gloves with me, about the same size. Along with that is always a gaiter. These little gaiters are a lifesaver, especially in wind or sun or anything like that. These gaiters that just slip over your neck, you can pull them up over your nose, and they're great. Especially if you get caught out there and you have to stay overnight, these will help protect your ears and keep you warm. And I know there's so many more things I could be going over that you can put in your pack, but remember, you have to decide what you're gonna need in the situation that you're in. I mean, now we're only talking about a 2 to 3 hour hike, up to 4. Anything over that, you may want a little bit more stuff, and I'll go through some more of the options here in just a few seconds. But first I want to talk about navigation and communication. Of course, everybody has a cell phone now, but not everybody's going to have service when you're out on the trail, hopefully. The idea is to get away, right? There ain't no sense in walking down the trail with the phone to your ear or playing loud music or anything like that. You got to respect everybody else that's out on the trail. But I always make sure that my phone is fully charged, and I use the app AllTrails. Now, you can navigate this app for free, but you can unlock a lot of other things if you do a paid prescription. It's cheap, it's worth it. You can download all these maps. You can research your trail. You can figure out how far they are. You can actually preview them, and you can see your altitude difference and your changes. And you can also see the updated trail conditions. And it's very helpful to me. That's what I use. I mean, I'm sure there's a million other apps out there, but AllTrails has always been the one for me. But along with my phone, I'll always carry a little charging pack and a cord. I mean, even though your phone may not get service, most of us can still dial 911 out of this phone and we can get help. If you don't have an emergency beacon or anything like that, then this is your next best friend, that's for sure. And the last thing you want to be out there taking a lot of video and picture, then your phone die. Well, that's where this comes in. They're lightweight. They can get you out of a pinch, and I highly recommend one. But not just that, there's a couple more items I want to kind of go over that I keep in my pack. One of them is always a trash bag. I mean, it doesn't take up much room. You can use it for a lot of things. You can put it over yourself for an emergency poncho just in case. And in one of my videos, I use it as a sled to go down a snowy hill. I mean, it was wonderful. But the main reason I carry this is because I always try to leave the trail better than I find it. So if I see some trash or something along the way, I'll pick it up and I'll put it in this trash bag and put it back in my pack. And of course, I can't carry a lot, but just every little bit helps, I can tell you that. Another thing that I always carry that I'd mention, and we talk about comfort and peace of mind, and that's a headlamp. There's so many times where I have had to turn around and come back because it starts getting dark and I don't want to be caught out there. And if you are, a headlamp will save your life, I can tell you that, because the last thing you want to do is try to get up and down a mountain or an unfamiliar trail without any kind of light. That will surely ruin your day. And I may hit on a touchy subject here that nobody wants to talk about, but being as old as we are, I always carry toilet paper. I keep it in a nice Ziploc bag to keep it nice and dry. This can be doubled as a good fire starter or for what it's meant to be. And sometimes when the need hits, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you just gotta go. So, as long as you respect the trail and you go a distance away from any water or other people and pack this out in that trash bag I just showed you, I mean, it'll save you. I can tell you that right now. It sure is better using this than having to come back without a sock or underwear, I mean, and that's just truth. Another thing I put in mine that doesn't weigh anything or take up any space is that's these quick fire starters and a little pack of all-weather matches. That's just for me. It's only a half day. I'll never, hopefully, ever have to start a fire out there. But if I do, for warmth, if I do get trapped, then I've got fire starter. And I'll tell you why. We were up on the side of a mountain, and the forecast showed absolutely no snow whatsoever. And the further we got up, the cloudier it got, and then a snowstorm hit. And believe me, it was beautiful, and you can watch it all right there. But it just kept getting harder and harder and harder, and I kept getting more and more worried, and we were still probably 3 miles away from the parking lot. There was nobody else on the trail. We were out there by ourselves in a blizzard in the side of a mountain, and it got to be that we could barely even see in front of us. That's how hard it was snowing. I felt secure enough with everything that I packed that I could have made it through the night. It would have been miserable. It would have been horrible, but I didn't want to use any of this stuff. I just had all this just to be prepared. So I knew I had warmth. I knew I had hydration. I knew I had comfort. But I mean, when you're in the middle of a snowstorm, you pretty much got to have a full weather tent, to survive that. So it would have been enough to keep us alive until help would have got there. That's for sure. And finally, I want to give just a couple of quick tips. Always remember to pack light and avoid straining your back. That's the worst thing you want to do, is have to take your pack off and carry it. I mean, your back can support a whole lot more weight than your arms can. So you want to pack comfortably. I can tell you that. Another thing is that I always like to try to do is like to tell somebody where I'm going. Even though my daughters are all the way down in Texas, I'll still text them where we're at. Because if they don't hear from us and we don't check in, in a few hours, they'll know to be starting to call us or call somebody to come find us. Another one is just listen to your body. We're not bulletproof anymore. We're older, we get hurt easy, and it takes a whole lot longer to heal. And our spouses can't drag us out because they're in just as bad a shape as we are. So listen to your body, take frequent breaks, and don't push it. I mean, you don't have anything to prove. You've made it this far in life. This is all you need to prove. It's about enjoying the journey and the destination. So it's not about trying to pass that 20-year-old that's almost in a sprint running up the side of the mountain. There's no reason to do that anymore. And you can take comfort in knowing that you're out there. You have already lapped everybody else that's home sitting on the couch. So just keep that in mind. Well, that's about it for today, and I hope what I've said here today will kind of help you pack more confidently for the trail. And if you have some items that you have to have in your pack and I didn't cover, leave down in the comments below. Maybe somebody else might be able to get the idea and they can put it in there as well. But right now, I'm gonna put all this stuff back in my pack and go on a hike. So always remember, leave it better than you found it. And if I don't see you on the trail, I'll see you down the road.